The Trayiz Rebellion. Welcome to Factopedia. This is an independent galactic resource for fact-checked data on modern and historical events within the Alrexian galaxy. These holos are created and edited by members. To be a member, an individual must be a licensed scholar, appointed ambassador, public relations official, or communications director from any existing company, political party, government, or faction. This is to avoid as much bias as possible. The final official version of each holo is voted on by these members for accuracy. If there is a major dissent from the majority vote by an official member, their individual take on the subject will be included at the end. The topic of this Factopedia Holo is the Trayiz Rebellion. Trayiz was born on 3209.06.1.07 on a neutral planet in the Alrexian galaxy that was not aligned with any of the major factions. His parents taught him to stand up for what is right and for what he believed in. Ever since he was a young boy, Trayiz has been strong-willed and charismatic. Seeing his potential, his parents taught him about the galaxy's great injustices. Through adolescence, Trayiz was a mostly upright citizen who rarely got into trouble. However, he would get into arguments and fights occasionally with his peers when he saw them doing things he perceived to be wrong or unjust. In 3230, Trayiz was married, and by 3233, he had 3 children. However, Trayiz's happy family life was cut short in 3239, when his planet was conquered by the Wraith Ascendancy. Being an open critic of the Ascendancy led to his family's enslavement. In a horrendous act of vicious evil, Vesa Wraith tortured and murdered Trayiz's wife and children in front of him for entertainment. This terrible experience reignited his hatred for the Wraith Ascendancy. By 3242, he became an outspoken resistance leader and rallied thousands of slaves to his cause. A massive battle took place to break out of the slave labor camp. Trayiz and his followers captured multiple Imperial ships and escaped into space. After fleeing the planet, Trayiz and his followers debated about what to do next. A suggestion was put forth to join the Federal Alliance, but this was eventually rejected because they believed that even the Federal Alliance was corrupt. They landed on a lightly populated mining planet that was controlled by the Wraith Ascendancy. Trayiz and his followers raided the mining outpost and freed more slaves. After the battle, Trayiz wrote a speech he called the Counter-Corruption Contract, which states that all governments are subject to corruption. Therefore, to end corruption, we must end all governments. On this day in 3242.07.2.03, the Anarchist Faction, known as the Trayiz Rebellion, was formed. Since that time, 4 factions have been embroiled in this Second Galactic Dominion War. The emblem of the Trayiz Rebellion, faction color green. The lack of established laws protected by a government has discouraged the ability for the Trayiz Rebellion to have a viable market of production. Without the incentive to produce their own materials, the Trayiz Rebellion has relied on constructing ships and weapons out of the scraps left over from destroyed and abandoned vehicles that belonged to the other factions. Despite their lack of firepower, compared to the other factions, their movement has been growing rapidly over the years, Techlock talk. Many citizens of other planets protest their government in support of the Trayiz Rebellion. The Trayiz Rebellion focuses most of its attention on attacking the Wraith Ascendancy, but they do perform small-scale attacks within the Federal Alliance and Cartel Trade Corporation. Trayiz leads the military of the Trayiz Rebellion, but he opposes the implementation of any laws or government, and does not involve himself in domestic affairs. Therefore, planets under the Trayiz Rebellion rely on a loose code of ethics that are not enforced by a government. Individuals and families are expected to take care of and protect themselves. This system has made it easy for raiders and pirates to take advantage of the lack of government protection. Despite their challenges, the Trayiz Rebellion has proven to be more than just a small nuisance in the Second Galactic Dominion War, because their soldiers are passionately devoted to their cause. As of 3245, the Trayiz Rebellion is one of the 2 minor powers and one of the 4 major factions in the Second Galactic Dominion War. Major descent from Ambassador Yurza Wraith of the Wraith Ascendancy. For Factopedia to continue to propagate the gross and disingenuous lie that Veza Wraith murdered his citizens in cold blood is infuriating and appalling. We immediately demand an apology and for Factopedia to put the fact back in its name. Trayiz's family died in a house fire for which we can provide proof. Most likely, the psychotic man burned down his own house in a fit of rage. We have multiple records of his violent nature prior to his open acts of terrorism, and we will not rest until he and his followers are brought to justice. To learn more about the other 4 factions participating in the Second Galactic Dominion War, please continue watching our New Year's Factopedia History Holos. This Factopedia Holo was uploaded on New Year's Day 3245.01.1.01. This is a multi-part historical record to explain the history of the Alrexian Galaxy, as well as the most recent current events. This Factopedia Holo was made possible by the Cooperative Interstellar Society of Historical Research, our partners and members, and by donations from across the galaxy, which includes people like you. To gain more insightful knowledge about history, please consider supporting us. Thank you. End Holo.